So my process personally for preparing for races has definitely changed over the years. Now my process for preparing for a race is, if it's a race that's really important to me, I'm planning for that race for probably the full year. For my training, I do a variety of typical running things that you would expect. So I'm running, doing workouts, doing long runs, but I also spend a lot of time doing PT, like physical therapy, the kind of mundane bread and butter of stuff that's not super exciting but really important. I spend a lot of time in the gym doing strength workouts, and I also spend a lot of time adventuring in the mountains. So this is a really big part of my training, but I spend big days out, whether it's ski touring, climbing, mountaineering, and definitely throughout the summer, like that comes in to be part of my training in a big way. I get a lot of my endurance benefit from days like that, but I still have to go back to the trails or the roads to get the speed and the really specificity for the races. But personally for me, I like to keep things pretty fluid and fitting into my race, into my season, and making sure that I'm still having fun while I'm doing it. Because ultimately, if we're not having fun, then why are we doing what we're doing, right? So if you're trying to figure out what to do for your training plan, maybe you have a goal of a race or an adventure or some route that you're trying to do, there's a lot of ways that you can go about structuring training, and that's going to be super specific and different for every person. It might surprise you that I've never had a coach. I'm self-coached, and to me, that's really important because I get to stay in tune with my body and with my goals and keep things fun and fresh. But I also, often rely heavily on resources from other people's experiences. I get input from, friends who are coaches and partners, running partners, training partners. And actually a training partner and friend of mine has a really good course on Crux. And so if you're looking for more resources and want to go a little bit deeper, I'd highly recommend that you check out Fernanda's course for trail running, because she goes over a lot of the different components of training. But ultimately, I think you're going to have to figure out what works for you. A lot of people get coaches. I think that can be great for many people. But also I think it's okay to find your own path for it and just look at the wealth of resources that are out there to figure out what works for you and what fits best with your life. So depending on what kind of race you're doing and what your training plan looks like, most likely you'll be training for your race from anywhere from like 2 to 4 months, kind of where you're staggering and building up and doing some training. Usually races will have, before you do a race, you would want to do a taper. So you may have like a 2 to 3 week period where you've been building in your training, but then you start to decline down. And what that does is allows your body a really focused chance to recover and actually get the training benefit from all the hard work that you did. During this time, I really like to start thinking about the race and what the plan is. It can be a really good time to test out what your race kit would be, what your shoes would be, what your pack is, all of those little details that you don't want to have to worry about on race day. The week of a race, I do usually go for a few runs, but generally the week is focused on getting a lot of sleep. I'm staying really well hydrated, I'm eating really good meals, getting your pack together, figuring out all of your food, nutrition. Do you have a drop bag? Do you have crew that's meeting you? What are they going to do for you? Making time to figure out all of those logistics so that by the time the race comes, you can just show up and have a plan. But also, since I said have a plan, I would say my plan is always that the plan will change. Part of trail and ultra running is, being flexible and adapting to that, and that you can have a really, really good race even if you have a lot of things go wrong. And you can also have a really, really good race even if you feel like garbage at one point during it and are considering quitting, because I've felt that way before and then finished and ended up winning a race. So I think there's just so much time for things to go wrong, but also that means there's so much time for things to change. And so in a race, just staying adaptable and be on your feet and ready for something to come, and trust your training. And I think it can be a pretty fun and wild ride.